Good morning. We're gonna take a look at some of a few good moments from our game this past Wednesday at Augsburg. Really focusing more on the attacking play, but we'll highlight some of our good defensive work as well. So, the first thing we're gonna start off with, we're gonna talk about the power of the central build and what it does. So obviously credit to Emily Hillis, Lana, and Ty finding this pass, but I want you to see what it does. So Hillis finds the way she's facing. Lana is able then to find the ball out wide to a tally that's free, and we're off. Now, if you watch this again, I think the important thing is whenever we start centrally, it gets the opposition to squeeze, which then releases space outside. So as they start to come in to deal with this, look at all they move inside, which then gives Tally more space. And then we start to look at this progression. Their right back steps to Tally. Now Kaylee's running free, so their right center back is going. And if Anna and Maya go on, it's 2v2 on their back line. So a good moment, something that you guys have done here and there. And they actually look to stop in the second half. The next one is a sequence here where it says power of the central build, but that's not accurate. What happens when we're able to escape and switch the points? So Denise does well to win this ball and find the open space on the right side. And this starts that progression of the free player. So Karen travels, gets the left back to commit. Now Maya has a 1v1 with their left center back. Plays the ball in, and if you look, we have a 2v1 on the back post. So again, we watch again. Our throw in, we're able to find Denise is able to win her battle and get out of that space with the ball. Good touch by Sydney. And then we find that open player. And this starts that progression. So again, Karen is free. She drives and commits the left back. Wait, when the left back steps, she releases to Maya. Now we have 3-on-3 on their back line. And even more importantly, we have 2-on-2 on the back post. So from a still image, this is what we're looking at. And this is where we talk about we want that backside winger to get across, because if Sydney can come into that space and she actually times her run decently, we have isolated 2v2. And I think this will be a common trend against St. Olaf where their wingers are not going to come and defend nearly as much. So we can get 2v2 on the backside. Goal kick, just highlighting when we talk about we're going to make mistakes, we're going to have bad passes, but it's the mission of the next player to clean it up. And so as we look at this, between Katie, Lee, and Tally, they do really well to clean this up. So they force the ball to Lee. She finds Katie, who bounces the ball back in a difficult way, but Lee's able to find the solution in one touch, and Tally is able to break forward and find the space. So again, credit to these players, but this is that example when we say clean it up. Katie had pressure on her back, played a tougher ball back to Lee, and Lee was able to clean it up on that first touch and find Tally. And again, Tally is the example of the free player. So boom, now she's wide open and free. They work really hard to stop the ball down line, and Tally takes her back inside and does a good job. And this is, I think, the first foul that Tally was upset about. So anyways, a good example of how we cleaned it up. What we're going to look at here is kind of that same moment, but what can we do with our positioning to make it a little bit better? So in that situation, and we'll go back and watch again, we'd like Lana to pull an opposite movement away. And the reason for this is we want to challenge that man marker to decide, where is she going? Do I follow her? If she follows her, that gives Lee more space inside, and maybe we can find Emily Hillis, or we can find another player on the other side. If she stays, we can play the ball to Lana facing forward, and we can get out the other side. If you notice, we've got space and numbers on the backside. There's a transition element to this as well. If Lana pulls away in that opposite space and sits on top of that box, if we turn it over, Lana's now in front of the goal as our center back. So we'll go back, we'll watch the same moment again. Again, we solve it, but there's some details here that can make it easier, because their striker releases to the goalkeeper. If Lana just starts to drift away, that can open up a higher pass. But again, this group here does a pretty good job of taking care of it. So, goal kick. Now this is kind of what we're talking about. As you can tell, they got a little bit more aggressive with their pressing. They changed their shape. They started going player for player and putting an attacking mid on Lana in our build-up because they saw that she was getting free. So that allowed their front three to all release towards our back three. And we were able to find a higher ball, and we break, and we bypassed all those numbers. And again, that's a ball that I know that we're going to get better at. But watch again. So even as Kaylee starts to drag this player, that gives even more space to Anna. The ball comes through. It's a good combination from Kaylee underneath. And then we see that pass. Okay. So let's look at the setup. So we have to focus on this situation here. Okay. They're matched up everywhere. Okay. When we start to see this, and this goes for goalkeeper, Ty, Lee, anybody that's on the ball in this situation, you have to recognize that they have given us more numbers than we right now can handle based on the space. So then we talk about what is given. They have to give up something to do this. And this is what they give up. So again, if we can recognize, and this is where, especially on a reset with a goal kick, where we have some time and they have time to all line up and show us what they're going to do, we have to recognize where the higher place is. Especially with Anna. Kaylee's good receiving back. Maya's also good to receive out of the air with back to goal. Like, we have players that can deal with this ball if it's hit well. And then finally, we're going to end on an excellent example of some defending shape. As the ball circulates, I really want you to watch Katie, what she does. She drops with cover, and that diagonal movement back and in is what's important. So she provides cover to Emily. She starts to run backwards and in towards that central space and is able to cut the ball out. In our shape with only 2 center mids, Katie now becomes the pseudo holding midfield player to protect the back 3. And she came in, she won it. And even here, kind of got a little bit clunky. We win it again, and now we get the switch on. And this is the important thing. We find the way out of it. We start to collectively recognize, let's not be on this side anymore. And boom, we start to work our way to the opposite space. But the big important thing, again, is looking at this moment. And again, when we play St. Olaf with their 4-3-3 and their 2-10s, this is going to be another attacking or an important aspect of us, is that angle of our backside center mid. And we have Maya coming back and in as well. So if they try to force the ball into that other player, Maya can come back tackle on. She is number 10. All right. So a really good example of our defending shape. I mean, it happened several times that you guys were able to do this. But overall, girls, I could have made a 45-minute video on all the good things that we did. But let's really take the moments here. Let's look how we use it in the next game and be ready to go.